Boa tarde a todos. Nesta sétima edição das Oficinas Singulares, convidamos Gabi Campanario para conversar connosco e a pivô será Maria Sofia Meireles. Gabriel Campanario é um artista visual, ilustrador e jornalista que vive em Seattle, sendo conhecido pelo seu trabalho como artista na equipa do Seattle Times e como fundador dos Urban Sketchers. É o autor de Seattle Sketcher, An Illustrated Journal, e de vários livros sobre urban sketch, incluindo The Art of Urban Sketching, Drawing on Location Around the World. A Maria Sofia é miquelense e desde pequena demonstra um grande interesse pelo desenho. Está atualmente a fazer um mestrado em Cambridge na área do design gráfico e integra a organização do grupo Urban Sketchers Açores, tendo feito parte da sua formação inicial. Hello Gabi, hello Maria Sofia, olá Maria Sofia. Thank you for being here, and sorry for my bad accent. Gabi is a father of urban sketchers, and Maria Sofia is a part of a new generation of Azorian group of urban sketching. And we'll make this conversation like a bridge between Cambridge, Azores and Seattle. I take this opportunity to show a photo. I think it's now that will start the conversation. Was taken in 2014 when you, Gabi, came to San Miguel with the organization of international group. Maria Sofia, eu passo-te a palavra e a partir daqui, se quiseres que passe para os outros desenhos ou que mantenha na imagem, que é a que está no ecrã, é só dizeres. Podes falar.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, and hello Gabi. Thank you for being with us today, and I remember this meeting like so well. Me and my classmates, we are new to this world of drawing in sketchbooks, and we are all so excited to have the founder of all of this with us. And so to start our talk, I would like to ask how all of this started, like what was the idea behind?
Well, hello Maria Sofia, and thank you also Alexandra for the introduction and for allowing me to meet you all again here through the screen. I have great memories of visiting San Miguel and the Azores Islands. I mean, what an amazing place, and I hope I can go there sometime in the future.
I hope so.
So anyway, well, this is a question that everybody, of course, asked me. How did Urban Sketchers come about, and what was my idea? And it's certainly very simple. I in 2006 I moved to Seattle. I was living before in the East Coast of the United States for a few years, and before in California, where I had moved in 1998. So it's been 22 years since I've been in the States. So when we moved to the Seattle area, this city was completely new to me. I had been here before, just on a couple of trips, but I didn't know it, right? So I realized that at that moment, I also wanted to get back to drawing every day. You know, I wanted to get better, improve my drawing skills, and I had purchased a little sketchbook, just like this one. And I said, well, I'm just going to start drawing Seattle, and I thought it would be a good way to get to know my new home. So I drew everywhere. I drew on the bus while I commute to Seattle with my family when we went on a weekend to explore the new geography. And 2006 was also a time where this was before Facebook and Instagram, but there were other tools online where we could share our drawings, right? So I thought, oh, I'm going to put my drawings online. And the moment I started putting my drawings online, I started finding other people who were also sharing their drawings of their own cities. I found this website called flickr.com, and I thought, well, and that's where I started connecting with other sketchers. And I connected with Thibaut Capecchi in Napoli, with La Pen in Barcelona, with Jason Das in New York. All these people were showing their own cities through hand-drawn sketches they were drawing on location. And I love that. I love seeing the work of other people. I felt like I was getting to know their communities as much as I was exploring mine. And one day, just without really thinking much about it, I found, like I said in a talk that I gave in Chicago in 2017, I said, I found this button that said create group. And I thought, oh, I'm going to create a group here on this website, and I'm going to call it Urban Sketches. And I called it that because I felt like that was a good description to the work we were producing. They were sketches, and they were urban in the sense that they show the places where we live and the places that we inhabit. And from then on, it was just basically, I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't get away from this community. It started on Flickr. The very first day I created that group, 100 people who were already on my contacts list on Flickr joined. And that was in November of 2007. And then a year later, I thought, well, I think it would be nice to have a blog, right? Because of my background as a journalist, I've always been interested in how sketches can capture a sense of place and a sense of time, and how we can use them to tell stories of things that are happening. That's my approach to urban sketching. I'm not drawing so much to create one beautiful picture that I can go put on a frame. I'm capturing a moment and telling a story, right? So the blog format, and blogs were kind of trendy at the time, seemed very interesting to me, because a blog allowed multiple authors to contribute to the same website. And then what I did was basically went to the Flickr group that I had already started and asked some of these sketchers to join me on the blog. And when I created the blog, I wasn't looking just for great artists. Of course, I wanted the artwork and the drawings to be great, but I really wanted a selection that would be as diverse as possible, that would be as representative of the world as possible. So I didn't want the website to have all the good illustrators from New York and then just a bunch of other people. And so I put some effort in finding people as far as New Zealand, where Mary DeHurst was doing great drawings, Japan, where Kumi Matsukawa created beautiful watercolors. So it would be a good collection of these patches from all these artists all over the world. I also was really aware that I wanted a website that represented different genders, and I didn't want to be a bunch of guys. So I really also pay attention to have a good mix of people who were young, old, men, women, all the shades in between. So that diversity that I think characterizes the community today, and that sense of inclusivity, it goes back from the beginning. Just finding a selection of people that would be representative from all over the world. So the blog is basically what gave the community higher visibility, because people were posting every day from all sorts of parts of the world. And a year later, in 2009, I took a step further on convincing some of these first sketchers to create a nonprofit and make this an organization that would allow us to create events and more activities and basically support each other. So that's how it started. It wasn't something that I spent a lot of time planning. It was something that just as I like to say, I just found the button on the internet that said create group, and then from then on, it really took off. So it's really amazing to see what's come of it.
Yes, I can see there's here like a big sense of community in all of this. And did you ever thought that this would grow something so big like it is today?
Well, I think No, I don't know. I think the idea is very simple, and the idea already existed. You know, people were already doing this. I didn't invent anything. All I did was that, like I said, plant the seed online, so we could find each other. I mean, people have been drawing on location for many years. The internet just gave us the ability to find each other, like other communities of like-minded people have found each other online. I also took the step on kind of giving some thought of what it is, what we do as urban sketches, and that's where the manifesto came from, and that's where I try to kind of establish some principles that would be broad enough, that wouldn't be very constricted, you know, like and drawing on the spot and capturing things from observation. That's certainly one of the key elements. But yeah, I cannot tell you that I knew what would happen. It's the whole community has certainly. It's not that it has grown because we found each other, and then we've inspired others to take on this art form.
I think it's amazing what this community have done. Like, so many people have joined us and sent their sketches. So let's start to see the sketches that you send us.
Sure.
So if Alessandra could please show us the first sketch.
Já está.
So where was this sketch made?
I am not seeing the sketch yet.
A picture of you.
That's okay.
Yes. So where was it made?
So do I see this on the screen myself?
Okay.
Oh, here. Now I start to see it. Okay, yeah, this window has all the windows. Okay, well, I can see it. It's not full screen, but it's fine. I can see. Yeah, this is a hotel in Seattle. It's called the Hotel Sorrento. There it is, Hotel Sorrento. Sorrento, named after the place in Italy, right? Sorrento. And I did this as part of my newspaper column, Seattle Sketcher, where I document and feature interesting places, interesting people in Seattle, kind of documenting and capturing life and a sense of place and time in Seattle. And this building is unique because it's more than 100 years old, which, of course, for European standards, you know, everything is more than 100 years old. I mean, we have so many things in Europe, in Spain, Portugal, beautiful places and buildings that have been preserved, right, from many years ago. But here in the United States, not so much. You know, Seattle is a city that is only 170 years old, as the modern Seattle. Of course, the Native Americans have been here for thousands of years, but the city, the way we know it now, didn't start until 1851. So everything is fairly new, and to find in the urban landscape, to find buildings and places that are this old, like more than 100 years old, is not as common, especially on the west coast of the United States. The east coast, things go back farther in time, right? But the Hotel Sorrento is not only an old building in Seattle, it's still being used as a hotel, which was its original purpose back in the 1910s when it was built, before a Universal Expo that happened here. And I did this drawing because before Halloween, because it has kind of some stories of being haunted, like a haunted house in Halloween, and so there's some tales of an author roaming the halls, and I thought that was kind of like a good excuse also to draw it at this particular time of the year, you know. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking, like, you know, it's like I was seeing the ghosts of everybody who's stayed in this building for 100 years, you know, looking back at me through all those windows. And of course, the architecture is unique, and it really stands out in in Seattle downtown, in the neighborhood where it is. So.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's really like a beautiful building. So next we have this drawing. So
Yeah.
it's also in Seattle.
No, this is actually in Amsterdam. This was last year for the Urban Sketcher Symposium in Amsterdam. And it was the last day of the event, and we were all walking towards the final gathering spot where we were going to take the picture. But I had just a little time, and as I said, I always have my pocket sketchbook with me. And I thought I'm just going to do a quick drawing. My sketching, you could define it in two. My sketching happens in two different ways. You know, the drawing you just showed of the building in Seattle. Those are the sketches I do for my newspaper column, and then I have my sketchbooks where I draw completely for fun and for myself. Like I don't have to. These drawings are not published. Sometimes I take a photo and post them online, but sometimes I don't. So this is how my urban sketching started. It started drawing on a little sketchbook and documenting the world around me. So everywhere I go, my pocket sketchbook is always with me. I always tell people, if you want to get started with urban sketching, grab a little book and just one tool, one pen, one pencil, and start drawing. You know. So here I did it with a ballpoint pen. And yeah, this is in Amsterdam. Is a place that also reminded me of Seattle because there's all these canals and water and ships. Like we have a lot of that here in Seattle, and of course, people have used bicycles in Amsterdam so often that before I knew it, there were people with bicycles in front of me. So I did a quick drawing of the person with the bicycle.
Yes, I'm the same. I love sketching like tiny books. I find them like so comfortable and easy to take with us like everywhere.
Yes.
And I noticed in this drawing that the people looks like they were done like very quickly, like they was just like passing by, and you like really quickly draw them. I think it's fantastic how like your trace can show like this thing, like the movement also.
Yes, with people, I also like to say that when I'm teaching a workshop is the more you keep the lines loose and open, the more sense of motion they will have, you know. And I don't mind overlapping a person on lines that were already on the sketch, you know. That also creates a sense of movement.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so let's see the next drawing. So
yeah, this is in Seattle, and this is another one of these ballpoint pen sketches. Mm-hmm. It's a blue ballpoint pen. I like blue because the blue color stands out not so strongly from the white of the paper. So it's a little more gentle, if you will, you know, the blue. When you put ink on paper and it's black ink right away, it really stands out, right? So, and with ballpoint, the beauty of the ballpoint is that you can use different pressure to create stronger or thinner, lighter marks. This is a beautiful park in Seattle. It's called Gasworks Park, and it used to be an old steam plant, power plant, up till the 60s. And the plant was decommissioned, and the city had the great idea of using all these space as a park. The old boiler rooms and machinery of the plant is still there. It's this mass of that you see here on the landscape. So that's still there, but all around it is grass. There's a hill where people go and play with kites, fly kites in the wind. And you can see a beautiful view of Lake Union in the middle of the city. And this was a gathering with the local group of urban sketchers a few years ago. So I also had my pocket sketchbook, and I also added the people walking with their dog because to create a sense of scale and a sense of things happening. You know, I also like always to do that in my sketches.
And it's a really lovely sketch. So would you say that a bullet pen is your favorite material to draw?
Ballpoint pen is one of my tools that I use, I don't know that I have like a favorite that I can say, oh, I swear by this tool. You know, I love pencil, I love ballpoint pen, fountain pens as well. I use those for my work for the newspaper. I don't think I have reached that point as a sketcher. I mean, despite of having done this for a while, I don't think I have reached that point that, okay, I am only committed to one tool. You know, I like any of them.
Yes. It's always nice to explore different materials.
Exactly. But certainly the ballpoint pen for the pocket sketchbook is I enjoy it because I can do an entire drawing that has the composition and tonal value with that specific pen. The shading. Ballpoint pens are great for shading. Like in this case, this is an olive tree. This is in Spain. This is in a little village called Montemolin. This is where my family hails from. Both my mom and my dad were born here, and my dad still lives there. And this is in outside his house, which is outside the village, and surrounded by olive trees. So I just, on this day in September, this is when I went also to Lisbon to the 10th anniversary of the Urban Sketches Portugal, and then I took a quick trip to see my dad in Spain, and I just sat by the olive tree and did a quick drawing.
Oh, it's so beautiful, the story behind, and here you can see like the different tabs that you gave with the pen, like the saddles and everything. And do you like to draw more in nature or more in like cities? Because I can see you have a lot of natural elements in your drawings.
Well, cities and urban spaces is the environment of my everyday life, I mean, I think we're also all urban sketches because even if you live in a small town, we all live in some sort of a community. In a community, the moment it has a building or 2 or 3 buildings, that I consider that urban. Urban doesn't mean small versus big or countryside versus metropolitan areas. It means everywhere where we have an impact as humans and all the places we inhabit, right? I like to mix it up. I like the excitement of the city and the streets and the traffic lights and the big buildings, but also the quiet places, the small towns. The small towns are just so beautiful to draw, especially in Europe. I always say that European sketchers are it's not fair because in Europe every building looks amazing. Here in the United States we have a lot of ugly buildings.
So, and with like this pandemic, everything that's happening right now, do you find yourself like drawing more in your city? Maybe like drawing inside home?
I'm sorry, do I find myself
like drawing more locally because of the pandemic, like when travel right now?
Yes, well, the pandemic has certainly affected our everyday lives in ways we could not have imagined. I am lucky to live Seattle in a way, even though it's a fairly big city, it's surrounded by so much nature and parks and water. And I live in the suburbs north of the city, and I mean, even here at my home, I look out the window and I see trees. So I think nature is part of city life as well. In Europe, like if you're in Lisbon or Barcelona or Madrid, I mean, there's still parks and open spaces, but cities are very much more dense, with buildings of of different stories. So I have been able to sketch perhaps here more often because I can go to open spaces and be safe, wear a mask, and I have had to do it for my work anyway. So. But of course, we have not been gathering as a group as we did before. So I think there's still opportunity to sketch during the pandemic. If you can be safe, but again, of course, safety and taking care of our health is first.
Yes, I think now we need to be a little more creative to find a ways to still be together like we're doing now.
Right.
So,
I know sketchers who are also driving and sketching from their cars. That's also a possibility.
And from the previous sketch, this one, I can see that you added like a title in the bottom right. So why did you add it later?
I did add that later because those are the ruins of an old castle also in Montemolin, my family's hometown. So that's the profile of the castle at the top of the hill, and I could see that from the same spot where I was drawing more or less from the same spot from where I was drawing the olive tree. I could also see the castle, and I think I used a pencil. I think I used the same ballpoint pen. Or a pencil, now I can't really tell. I just felt like adding it. I don't remember why, but again, my sketchbook is like, I am just, I can do whatever I want. I don't feel like, just because I did this tree here, now I need to flip the page. If I want to continue adding things, I will. If I want to put color later, I will. That's the beauty of the sketchbook. It's like a laboratory where you can experiment.
Yeah, I think it's really nice, the freedom that the sketchbook gives us. And from my point of view, I think this that you added later, I think it really helps with like the contextualization.
Exactly.
Like the place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So context is key word there.
Yes. So
here's another one. On my screen I see myself kind of blurry. I hope you can see me well. This was also during the same trip or another year at another town in southern Spain, where my family is from. It's actually not that far from Portugal. It's in the province of Badajoz in Extremadura. Everybody in Portugal knows the region of Extremadura, I think. And again, a small drawing. I had gone out with my dad. He needed to get a haircut, and while he was getting a haircut, I just went out to the square nearby and drew the church there, also very old church. And I love these palm trees, and that's why the palm tree is kind of in the foreground. And again, this used also this as an example when I teach of how much you can do with just one drawing tool. Sometimes you don't need the entire arsenal of sketching tools to capture a place.
Yes, and there's like particular reason for only using one of the pages, not like the full.
Yeah, in this case, I don't know. In this case, I just ended up leaving it blank. I like the white space around the spread. It just didn't happen. I guess it didn't happen that I added more to that spread. I don't know why.
Yeah, so like you left like the drawing like in suspense. Like there was more that you could do, but you decided to like leave it for the people that we seem to like imagine maybe something else.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, and this is the thing about drawings that I find very beautiful, is that when you look at them, you complete the image with your imagination. Not everything is there. When you see a photo can be, of course, very beautiful too, but a drawing can really evoke that moment because the viewer doesn't have all the information, so they can imagine whatever else they want. I think I may have left the space open, thinking that I may write something at the end of the day, which sometimes I do. I do a drawing and then I go and add some text. But in this case, I guess I didn't.
Yes, and I'm loving to hear your stories behind the drawings. Do you have like a favorite story or a more memorable one, maybe from some trip that you did?
Oh boy, stories. I have quite many stories. I mean, I remember I sketched this. I've told this one a few times, but one of my columns for the newspaper years ago was about an old ferry, an old ship that was abandoned, right, in a canal somewhere here in the region. And one of the readers of my column emailed me and said, if you want to go, I have kayaks. We can kayak together. And I told him I've never been on a kayak. I don't know how to kayak, how to paddle, you know. And he goes, oh, don't worry. I am a kayaking instructor. I can teach you. I go, okay. And this was, I think it was the middle of February, so it was pretty cold, you know. So I met the guy, and he showed up, and he had a dry suit, just all the equipment needed to the kayaking, right? So I got in the kayak, and he told me how to steer right and left. And I said, okay, yeah, I think I can do this. And we started paddling to the location of the big ship. And it took us like an hour to get there. So by the time we got to the ship, my legs, I couldn't feel my legs. I was so exhausted, you know. But anyway, I got out of the kayak and I was able to sketch the ship. And then on the way back, I was so tired from the kayaking that I flipped over. So I ended up in the water myself. In the water, here is very cold. Fortunately, I had the suit, but also I had the sketchbooks in the kayak. But fortunately, he also had a Ziploc bag, so they were inside a Ziploc bag, so they didn't get very wet, but they got a little wet. But we were still like 100 meters or more from the shoreline, and he was ahead of me, so I had to wave, and he had to come and kind of help me flip the kayak back. It was an ordeal. So I sometimes, you know, the things you do for sketching, you know. Anyway, but yeah, there's always a little story or anecdote behind each drawing. Sometimes the story is not about the drawing, the subject you sketch, is about what happened in that occasion, you know. So
Yes. And so here we are moving from your small sketchbooks, like a bigger pace. Mm-hmm. So what's the reason behind these scents?
Yes, this is a drawing, recent drawing from for my column at the newspaper. And lately I've been more interested in making my sketches more accurate. I mean, I would normally, for many years, I drew directly in ink with no pencil. And while I got drawings that I felt were strong without doing pencil, lately I've been interested in like, well, what if I do a little pencil first? How much more accurate can I get? Because I understand, because for me drawings are not only, I mean, drawings can be a form of expression, right? But I also see them as a form of documentation. So as a form of documentation, I want to be accurate as well, you know, or, you know, to an extent, I want the drawing to be believable, and I just, this is just my personal choice as well. I think you can also make very expressive drawings that are just as authentic, right? I think authentic is kind of the key word when you're sketching. Does it feel authentic? Does it feel like you are not making things up, right? So anyway, that's why you see the underlying pencil on that sketch. I work with an H gray pencil to kind of get the composition right and to make it all fit on the page. You know how, at least for me, I hate if I run out of space on the page, right? You have to plan your drawing good enough that you're going to have room for everything, right? So by doing the pencil fair, I ensure that everything would fit. The place I'm sketching here is the construction of a massive convention center downtown Seattle. And this is in the middle of the pandemic. So you go to Seattle and the place is very much empty. But the construction workers are there, you know, they are hard at work. And this was, what was personal about this story for me is that the place where you see this big construction going up used to be a bus depot, a bus stop in Seattle. And I used to go to that bus stop and take buses to other places many times. I did a sketch on the bus stop before it was demolished too. So these are also sometimes places that I've been drawing over time, right? And so I wanted to let readers of the newspaper, readers of my column, know what was happening here, because many, of course, also have been staying home and haven't been going to downtown. So I go, well, I'm going to check out the construction. And the construction is interesting as well because it's right up against this beige color building that you see there. It's called the Olive Tower. And the Olive Tower is a building from the 1920s. And it looks so out of place in a way, you know, because it's surrounded by all these new glass office towers, and now the convention center is next to it. And that poor old building, you know, 40-story apartment building, is also next to the freeway. You can see the cars down there. The freeway was built in the 50s. So this was completely different before the 50s, you know, this whole area. There's a hotel, a theater, the Paramount Theater, a very historic theater as well from the early 20th century that is nearby. So this is a hodgepodge of intersections that is kind of interesting to study also from a historic standpoint. So I don't know what else I could tell you. I went there one day and did all the pencil and maybe some ink. I don't remember. I don't know if this is for the first day or the second day. And then I went the next day. So this was a lot of work. I mean, it took me just a few hours for the pencil and more, 2 or 3 hours again for the ink. And then I did the watercolor at home. Yeah, it's a more complex process than the quick sketch that I do in my pocket sketchbook, but it's a good change of pace. I have the original here with me since I knew you were going to show it. I don't know on the screen what effect would have, but see, this is how it looks. So I was pretty happy with the way it turned out, and also there's some construction workers.
I'm sorry, Gabi. We have a little problem with your image. I don't know what happened, but we can see your drawing. I'm sorry.
Do you see all the screen flickering?
Yes, it's. I don't know what is it. It's only with your connection, but we can listen. You can go on.
Well, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Should I restart, or do you want me to?
No, you can talk with Maria Sofia.
This presentation.
Let me try this. What about if I turn off just the video and turn it on again without leaving the call? See if that fixes it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. Hold on.
Okay. It's
Did
okay.
that work?
Okay. Fine.
Can you see me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's good. Okay,
It's
you
better?
can continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, I was showing you the original here, just for a sense of seeing. And I was talking about the construction workers who are here. They also, when they saw me sketching, they stop and they talk to me, and that's also an aspect of urban sketching. We are out there in the city, we're out there in the field, and we get to talk to people that you wouldn't talk otherwise, you know. So that's always interesting.
Yes. And what do you say it's like the big difference between doing sketching the small books and these ones for your journal?
Well, the big difference is here's what happened to me. I started drawing as a hobby on my pocket sketchbooks, and as a newspaper artist, I already use my drawing skills to create illustrations for stories and other graphics, right? But after drawing my sketchbooks, I told my editors at the newspaper that I could do these also for the paper. So basically, sketching also became part of my professional life. And because of that, I felt that I needed to get better at it and create pieces that would be more elaborate, if you will. So now that's why I have these two. I have two sketchers living inside me. I have the newspaper artist who does this for a living and as a job, and I have the urban sketcher, like the majority of the sketchers who love to sketch for fun, So it's always kind of a battle, because the sketcher who just wants to sketch for fun wants to draw in the sketchbooks. The sketcher who does it for work wants to create an amazing piece of art and wants to write a wonderful piece of writing that will also be very good. So I'm conflicted inside, and even if I don't write much, these are only 200 words or so that I use for each column. I really spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm gonna say and the words and all that. So that also adds more work that I don't have to do as a sketcher. In my pocket sketchbook, if I want to write, I do. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah. So, on average, how long would you say that the difference of time between doing a sketch, in your tiny book, like the relaxed one for hobby, and doing one more professional for the journal?
The main difference you're asking me?
No, how many hours?
Oh, how many hours? Well, yeah, the pocket sketchbooks can be just 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't think, sometimes maybe if I've added color, I would do more, like 30 minutes. But these drawings for work, I'm spending hours, like 4 hours at least. And then most of them, I'm also doing the watercolors later, unless the weather is really nice. I do the watercolor later. So I can control. Watercolor is very depends on the temperature of the air. And if it's cold like it is here in the winter, it's just not ideal for watercolor. So yeah, and then I spend maybe another couple of hours here in my home studio working on the watercolor. So the pocket sketchbook is more like on the go, fast. And also when I'm traveling with my family, so they don't have to wait for me. I can do a quick drawing.
Yes, actually I do the same when I'm traveling with my family. So let's see the next sketch.
The next, it's the
last one.
Este é o desafio, Maria Sofia.
So this sketch is for the challenge. Do the honors, or else I'm going to ask a question first.
Yes. Gabi, I would like to ask you a thing before your proposal. What do you wish for the future of urban sketchers?
Oh boy, what do I wish? That's a good question. I think I just hope the community continues to thrive and continues to show the world one drawing at a time. That's what it's all about. I think it's important not to lose sight of why we draw. And the way I understood urban sketching, or the way I tried to set up the idea from the beginning, was always about documenting the world, because obviously in this day and age we can take videos, we can take photographs, but when we document the world with drawings, we are creating a very unique record, which is personal, which only that person can make. No two people can make the same drawing the same way. Every drawing is unique to each person. So when we document the world and show what's going on around the world and the places and the people and the events that are happening, that has the potential to reach an audience in a more emotional way than I think other types of media, at least in a very different way than other types of media. So I know urban sketching can also be taken as a hobby just for pure self satisfaction, and because you feel like it relaxes you or things like that. But I just hope we don't lose sight that we are documenting life, and that many years from now people will look back at our drawings and say, oh wow, look at how Ponta Delgada looked back in 2020, and look how it has changed, you know, and these artists were there and were documenting it. I think that's a good thing that we're doing it, you know, and that we are sharing it, you know, because if you don't share your work and nobody sees it, then it gets lost, right?
Okay.
So I don't have any big goals. I think that I just thought, when I came about artists doing this, and when I realized that the tools of the internet could bring us together, I just thought it was important to create and to plant that seed. But now this is not about me, you know. It's the sketches just will take these wherever.
Urban sketching change my life. I think you made a great thing. It was a great project. It's infinito. Maria Sofia, podes avançar com a tua entrevista. Não sei se queres apresentar o desafio com o Gabi. Nós temos aqui alguns comentários de pessoas que estão a assistir. Eu agora vou falar em português, Gabi, eu sei que tu também me percebes, para poder fazer aqui alguma ponte. Temos aqui, eu consegui ver hoje, temos aqui a Isa Silva, o André Duarte Batista, que te manda um abraço e que agradece por estares aqui e aceitares estar na conversa. Patsy Boudin, não sei como pronunciar, a Sara Figueroa, portanto são a Dulce Nunes, a Natália, que está no Brasil, a Natália Cavalcante, que aqui está também. Portanto, nós temos imensa gente a assistir e a agradecer o facto de tu fazeres esta conversa connosco e partilhares a tua visão dos Urban Sketchers. É isso. Maria Sofia, podes avançar.
So, Gabi, do you want to present us your challenge?
Oh, okay, sure. Well, when Alexandra and Maria Sofia asked me to give you a challenge, I thought of something that would be very easy. I don't want to give you a lot of work, but something that I think it's something that I wish somebody had told me when I was starting to do urban sketching. And it's basically to just maybe for a week, or I don't know for how long you do these challenges, but just pick one tool, like it can be a pencil or it can be a ballpoint pen, a Spherographica, and just draw with that tool and nothing else. Sometimes when we see the work of other sketchers online, we feel like, oh, I want to do that. And then we feel like we have to do ink and color and everything, you know, and we have to carry this complicated kit, you know, and all we need is a little book and just one tool, you know, that's all you need. So my challenge to do is to, with only one tool, see how far you can take it. And I also think that by drawing with only one tool, especially pencil or ballpoint pen, your drawing skill will advance farther because you have to use these tools to their full potential. You have to use them to create the composition, the outlines, but also to create the tonal value, the light and the shade. You cannot go and then start using watercolor to do that. And you're going to be creating drawings with one tool that are going to be also monochrome. They are going to be, if you do a blue spherograph ballpoint pen, they are just going to be blue, right? But you can still do shading, and that will create a sense of dimension and depth. So I hope you don't find this challenge very boring. I hope you find it interesting to just draw with one tool. And if you are using pencil, if you choose pencil or if you use ballpoint pen, those tools respond to pressure. So you can do very light and then darken the drawing with shading. If you use ink, if you decide to do like one of these fine liners, a lot of people use the fine liners, right? This is a Faber-Castell or the Micron pens. You can also do that. Just do only the ink, and then you'll have to do your shading with cross-hatching, which is harder. But anyway, if that's your tool, you can of course choose that one. I love when I'm using one tool. I love pencil and ballpoint pen because the shading is easier. You know, with ink tools, the shading is not as easy. And I especially love the ballpoint pen if you go with a ballpoint pen because they like to call it the pencil of ink. You know, because you're drawing with ink, so you cannot erase it, right? But you can still do shading like you can do with pencils. So this very utilitarian tool, the ballpoint pen, is a really amazing tool to improve your drawing skills. So that's my challenge to you guys, and I look forward to seeing what you will do.
Thank you.
We can really see from where this challenge comes from your werk is, from the drawings that you show us.
Thank you, Gabi. I think it's a great challenge. I think it's enough. Nós temos o tempo contado. Vamos. I hope that we will meet again in Azores, Gabi, a day in future. If you came here to take a meeting in São Miguel Island, it's a future project. You can think about it. Maria Sofia, obrigada. Gabi, muito obrigada. E a todas as pessoas que aqui estiveram a assistir, eu agradeço. Eu peço ao Gabi e à Maria Sofia que não desliguem. Eu vou terminar a nossa stream e despedindo-me até à próxima, e obrigado.
É muito prazer, Alexandra e Maria Sofia. Obrigado.
Não desliguem. E agora sim, parar a transmissão.